So we are on, I'm not sure, I think it's lesson 10 now for PP2. Okay, so now in this lesson, I wanted to talk a little bit about combustion or oxidation reactions. And I'm also going to talk again about what is this? Esterification. We've already spoken a little bit about this, but now we're going to talk more about it in this lesson. So I hope you know. So um, hydrocarbons, those are your alkenes and alkynes, are the main source of fuel or energy in the world currently. So they can be used in the production of electrical energy and or used as fuel for various engines. And the hydrocarbon that you're going to be looking at in this lesson is propane. And I hope you guys know that propane gas is actually used. We use this for this gas for heating and cooking, especially in winter when people get those gas heaters and stuff. So yeah. So now there's something interesting that happens. So when these hydrocarbons, so this can be your alkanes or alkenes. So when these hydrocarbons, let's say an alkane reacts with oxygen, what will happen is that they will form carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will be released plus water plus a whole lot of energy, right? And this reaction, it is an exothermic reaction because it releases a lot of energy, right? So exothermic reaction, right? And now we're going to just look at one type of combustion reaction that is going to be occurring between, let's say, propane. So remember, propane is C3H8, right? Yeah. And then we're going to be reacting it with oxygen. So this is a gas. And then we said that our products, let me start here, C3H8 plus oxygen. Our reactants are going to be carbon dioxide. I'm gonna leave space here because this is not balanced yet. Carbon dioxide plus water and a whole lot of energy, right? Cool. So how do we balance this? So we start how I normally do it. I just write all my atoms or the elements that are found in the equation. So we have carbon, we have hydrogen, we also have oxygen. Cool. So I'll look on my left hand side. What do I have? How many carbons do I have? I have 3. And then on my right hand side, how many carbons do I have? I can see that I have 1. So for it to be balanced, the number of carbons on this side has to be equal to the number of carbons on this side, right? So I must multiply this one by 3, meaning here I'll put 3. So the number of carbons actually balance this. 3 carbons in this side, there's also 3 carbons this side. Cool, right? And then I go to the next thing, hydrogen. How many hydrogens do I have this side? I have 8. And then how many hydrogens do I have on the other side? I only have 2. So how do I make sure, how do I balance them? This means if I have 2, I can multiply, I can put 4 here. If I put 4 here, so 2 multiplied by 4, which will give me 8. If I put 4 here, I'll have now 8 carbons, right? Cool. So now we can go to the next step where we say, how many oxygens do I have here? This side, oxygens, I have 2. This side, I have 3 times 2. So 3 here. The coefficient, 3 times 2 will be 6 plus 4, which is 10. Right? So I have 10 this side, I have 2 this side. They need to be balanced. For me to make sure there are 10 carbons this side, I must multiply by 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. So meaning here, the coefficient of that hydrogen has to be 5. So again, we have to check how many carbons, 3, cool. How many hydrogens, 8, 8, okay. How many oxygens, 10, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So this actually is a balanced equation. So you have to know how to actually write this balanced equation for the combustion of what is it, propane or hydro or any sort of hydrocarbon. I just used propane as an example. And like I mentioned, the other process that I wanted to talk about was esterification. So remember, in the previous lesson, I don't remember which lesson was that, I spoke about that when when alcohol reacts with, so we have an alcohol that reacts with a carboxylic acid, the product that we get from this reaction is an ester. And now, what I didn't mention in that lesson was that this reaction needs to happen in the presence of a concentrated acid. This process, let me just do this. Cool. So this process needs to actually happen in the presence of H2SO4 hydrosulfuric acid actually, and it must be concentrated. So sometimes people refer to this process, which we say it's esterification, they refer to it as, what is it? So they refer to it as condensation reaction. Why? Because you find that two molecules form one organic molecule. Okay, so the interesting thing about esters is that they're actually responsible for the various smells which occur in nature. For example, pleasant smells such as the smell of a banana or an apple actually are a result of esters. So let us take an example before we finish off this lesson. So an example, let's say we had a propanol. So let's say we had propanol. So let's say the OH was there, and we're gonna react it with maybe methanoic acid. So propanol plus methanoic acid. So this is how you would normally draw that. So remember, this reaction has to happen in the presence of a concentrated acid, right? Such as concentrated acid catalyst, such as sulfuric acid. And then what we get, so remember, what's going to happen is that from the part of the alcohol, we're going to remove the OH. And then from this part here, that of the carboxylic acid, which is going to remove the H, when they bond together, you can see that they will form H2O. So water will be released in this situation. And now for our esters, our ester will look something like this. So we had two organic molecules, and they form one organic molecule. So now this carbon will be bonded to this hydrogen over the oxygen. I don't know why I'm saying hydrogen. And this is what it's going to look like. So we had propan-1-ol that's reacted with methanoic acid, and as a result we get propyl methanoid, cool, as well as water. And I think this brings, let me check if I've done everything, and I think this actually brings us to the end of this lesson. The one thing that I wanted to mention, I know this is a lot, it's everything, especially in terms of organic chemistry. We've spoken about a number of things. It's very important for you to know them, and I've only touched the tip of an iceberg. There's a whole lot more that you actually need to do on your own to kind of comprehend everything. And do those questions, try to check your understanding so that you can be ready for writing. I think you're writing on the 15th of November. And yeah, this brings us to the end.